welcome to the Great Garberson Podcast, your one-stop shop for gaming news and reviews, even though it's becoming more of a technology podcast. How are you today, Liam?
I'm good, how are you?
I am doing quite alright.
Good.
Good.
Ooh.
I'm a ghost.
Anyway, how is your week been, Garbett?
My week has been wonderful. I'm very tired, though. How about your week?
It's been good. Sunday, however, has been boring as hell. Sunday's always...
Well, I've been out doing exercise today.
I know, it's just Sunday's always my worst day of the week somehow. I don't know what to do with myself on Sundays. Just sat around the house.
Just sit down and fap all day.
No.
Anyway, welcome to the podcast. Today we are going to be talking about EverQuest Next.
Yep.
The Elder Scrolls MMO.
Yep.
Project Titan.
Yep.
What else?
QuakeCon in general.
Oh yeah, which I haven't read anything about. If we get time, we'll probably talk about Microsoft.
Yeah. What?
I really don't know why Bill Gates named it after his penis. Hey.
I respect Bill Gates more than Steve Jobs though.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking Bill Gates. I respect him more than most human beings. He's on a mission just to get rid of like diseases and things, and he's being successful.
He's eradicated polio.
He's just a boss.
He is. Okay. Anyway, back to the podcast before we go on another tangent about people.
Oh god, yeah.
What do you want to start with this week, Garbett?
I think it's probably best just because EverQuest kind of leads on to Elder Scrolls, and they're probably the two biggest topics we've got to talk about. So I think we should do those first.
Okay, I will start with EverQuest then.
Okay, and then we'll segue right into Elder Scrolls.
Yes. Okay. EverQuest Next is probably the first major next generation MMO. And probably the most interesting MMO I've ever seen. It looks amazing. The graphics look really good. The engine's perfectly designed for this game.
The only problem is that I can't actually look at them because all of these videos on the thing that you sent me have adverts, and I can't change the volume.
I'll describe them. So the first one is, the first thing I want to talk about is the destruction engine. Because the engine is voxel-based, meaning it's all rendered in squares, destruction is very, very easy to do and very low cost to the engine. Meaning that whole buildings can be completely decimated, and trees. In this demo, the first demo they showed with Next Gen was a big sort of machine going through the woods, destroying everything in its wake. Including trees, rocks, the ground, and finally a castle. Also, with the destruction engine, they've now implemented a 3-tier system where there's an overworld, and then the middle tier is like these cave systems, and then there's the underworld, which looks really amazing. So enemies can literally pound you into the ground, and you will fall to the second tier, where you must battle out in that tier, and a cave system, and you have to find your way out, or just, if you're good enough, jump your way out. And then there's the underworld. So there'll be different mobs in each tier. So there is literally 3 worlds in one. And it also means that this game, being voxel based, meaning the lighting looks really good and really easy to render. Just everything in it just looks really pretty from a lighting standpoint and a shader standpoint. The models look gorgeous. It has this kind of cartoony feel, but it works really well. It looks really good. It doesn't look like something from, an example being Dishonored, where the landscape shaders and the model shaders don't really mesh too well, but here it really does.
I think I have to disagree with you on how pretty you think it is.
It looks really good.
Yeah, it looks nice and things. I just don't. The cartooniness just, I think, kind of looks so outdated.
I like the cartoony feel to it. What do you don't like about it?
I'm trying to think of the game it reminds me of. I just can't. I mean, the lighting and stuff's amazing, and the destruction looks awesome. But it's just kind of, well, it looks awesome for an MMO.
Yeah.
Like, they've done really well to achieve that. Simply just, like, the amount of data that they've got to push through a game like this. It's pretty awesome. I don't know, it just kind of, it looks almost cheap.
How would you describe cheap?
Like, not worth very much. No, I don't know. It's really hard to explain. It just... It's kind of... Yeah, it just feels kind of looks like it would feel kind of outdated and things. Because so many games have taken that approach over the last few years that it's kind of just like... It almost feels like the reason that developers do that is as a way to get away from actually kind of making things look more realistic.
I think I've always preferred cartoony looking stuff from realistic looking things because with cartoony things you can really emotions are easier to pull off. It doesn't age as poorly as realistic graphics and so on. So I like it better than most other games. Like have you seen some of the character models?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the main thing. The environment looks pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, they do fit really well. As you were saying with Dishonored, they do actually look really good. I'm just watching some of these videos and all of the kind of attacks and things, all of the
animations,
kind of artwork for that, it just looks amazing.
Yeah.
And like fire and lava and things like that.
Yeah. They
have put so much time into this.
They have. It looks like a proper next gen. It looks like a next gen game, but an MMO. It looks.
I wouldn't go quite as far as saying it looks like a next gen game though. Considering games that like kind of the quality of graphics that we have in a lot of games that are kind of the current generation.
It kind of looks like, you know, the graphic style Yog Ventures. Yeah, well, okay, a bad example, but yeah, Yog Ventures has.
Yeah.
It looks like that, but 10 times better.
Yeah, it kind of does. I get what you mean.
But
I'm not sure how they could actually. I'm just thinking. I don't know if there's a way that they could actually avoid using textures like this.
Yeah.
With an MMO, because I'm thinking about it. Like nearly every MMO has used either really, really shitty textures or stuff like this.
I think using cartoony textures in something that's going to be so intensive, network-wise and processor-wise, is better than using realistic. So you don't have any sort of, you won't have like, should I have really crappy textures here or really good performance? With cartoony, you can sacrifice the graphics and still make it look very good.
In some parts, it really doesn't look that cartoony. It's the last video on that article. That almost reminds me of like a really, really nice looking kind of cross between Borderlands and Ravaged.
Yeah, the desert area.
Yeah. It looks really cool. It's like a really, really high quality Oldham, which is a place in World of Warcraft.
They also show off this new. Have you seen the sort of parkour movement system?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like all the characters literally jump over objects in a very smooth way, unlike in World of Warcraft, where they just seem to rise on a funny.
Well, you can't do like parkour in World of Warcraft.
No, but
and I mean, you can't really compare an 8-year-old game to a next gen game, Liam.
Well, I'm just
like
trying
that.
to. I don't know what to compare it with because I don't know. I can only compare it with World of Warcraft because I don't know any other.
Think about, when did Rift come out?
Ooh.
A couple of years ago?
Yeah, it's much...
Rift uses like the same movement as World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
So compare it to something like that, Liam.
Okay.
Don't hurt my baby.
Okay, I'll compare it with Rift then. So like characters in something like Rift, characters like sort of move up slopes without an angle. Here they actually look like they're traversing the terrain. They're sliding it down mountains. They're climbing over rocks.
Characters do tilt in World of Warcraft. You don't just stay always upright. when you climb up hills and stuff, you do tilt backwards.
Yeah, it just looks kind
It's
of...
not like you're always stuck upright.
It still look... in Rift and World of Warcraft, it still looks kind of fakey, but in EverQuest Next...
I don't find it does. I find it looks pretty similar.
I think it looks a lot better in EverQuest. I also want to talk about the new AI system, which caught my eye.
Oh God.
Well, it's all dynamic. So every race is on the move. There's no like set spawn area. So like orcs will always find very low populated areas on roads to attack venturers on. So they will always be on the move to low density areas where they can easily take out one or two characters. So the world's always changing. I think that...
So essentially, if you're doing a quest or something like that, or doing a mission, whatever they want to call it in the game, that requires killing a certain amount of whatever, if they do that, then instead of just going to a set area, you're going to have to, say you have to kill like 5 orcs, you're going to have to deliberately go to somewhere where there's not a lot of people.
Yeah, yes, you have to go to areas where you have to explore the whole world for orcs.
That's really, really cool. I mean, that's kind of what they've promised with a lot of MMOs, and usually the MMO AI goes as far as they will literally run towards you and take the quickest path towards you. But then again, a lot of MMOs kind of think, yeah, so World of Warcraft is like that, so we'll do it.
Yeah, the good thing...
They forget that it's an 8-year-old game.
The good thing... The good thing is, with a game like EverQuest, they were the first 3D MMO, the proper 3D engine MMO. So yeah. they have like the legacy. They can take risks, unlike other, because they're always going to get a certain amount of followers. Unlike
EverQuest has always, like, as long as I can remember, been a really, really popular franchise.
So they don't have any problems with, like, we've got to find a way of appealing people and making it familiar.
They don't have to like kind of make a niche thing.
Yeah.
That will annoy most people and only appeal to a small group.
Yeah, they can actually go full blown. Okay, we're doing something completely different from.
That sounds really cool with the AI though, with kind of making you actually have to work.
Yeah. Well,
instead of that will make it so much more interesting.
There's the thing that every server is going to be completely different, because the quest system, like a quest isn't always going to be like collect this, go to this area, go to this dungeon and raid and such. There's actually going to be about building the world. So there's going to be quests about actually building a city, which could take a matter of months of resources collecting and so on. So you have to work in a big group of people.
They actually did. There was it was when I was like kind of into World of Warcraft quite a bit towards the start. There was a raid that opened called Anchorage, and there was this whole thing going on called the Anchorage War Effort, where you had to take certain materials into capital cities to help with the war effort and things. And that was just amazingly fun, but it just felt so empty because you weren't actually really doing anything. You could just go to the auction house, buy some wool, and take it to them and get some experience, get some reputation. So it's if they can actually make it work where the world dynamically changes around you, because with World of Warcraft and other games they've done it more recently. But if the questing system is built around concepts like that instead of it being tacked on, then it probably will end up being a lot smoother and a lot more interesting and a lot less empty.
Well, this also ties into the EverQuest Next landmark tool, which is going to release sometime in November, where it's the actual proper development environment where you can actually build castles and environments, and they will be put into the game if they're any good. So
wow!
So it's like the Steam Workshop, what Valve do with TF2, but on an MMO scale.
That sounds kind of like it would be so easy for them to fuck that up.
Yeah.
But it also sounds like if they manage to do it right, which I hope they do, it'll be difficult. But if they do get it right, it sounds like it could be possibly one of the best things to happen to MMOs.
Yeah.
Just having that, being able to be creative, 'cause that's one of the only things that's really missing from an MMO. Because, I mean, you've got the social aspects and things like that, but as far as kind of traditional MMOs go, which is go and collect, like, 10 boar asses, they lack that side of creativity.
Yeah. So, and also, you can buy things from the workshop and add them to... So let's say someone's already built this huge bridge, and you say, I want that on my castle. So you can buy that bridge and stick it to your castle, and if EverQuest, the team who make EverQuest, like your castle or to put that in the game, the person who made that bridge will get a certain percentage of the money towards it, and not just go to one creator.
Okay, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
So that means that not only people that are actually really good at level design and things like that would find doing things like that quite easy, other people will be able to, if they've got a bit of money, or they probably will be able to get free assets and things if that happens. People that are creative but don't have the knowledge, maybe they're too young to learn it, or they're kind of busy with other things, too busy to learn, things like that.
Yeah.
It still gives people the opportunity to actually play instead of just being sat there. So a lot of systems like that, well, there isn't really a system like that, but a lot of systems that require kind of a lot of user input, require, well, especially in MMOs, require a lot of kind of dedication, and casual players usually miss out. It's like raiding in most MMOs. It's a lot harder if you're a casual player to actually get into it, but that if they actually manage to pull that off, having the kind of community aspect, then that'll make it kind of 10 times better.
Yeah. Well, there's also two tons of small little details they're adding. It really just seems like a next generation MMO. Then everything's been like small little niches in the big World of Warcraft or big World of Warcraft franchise, or way they've designed that game. And EverQuest just seems like to remove all them and start from the beginning. And
yeah, it's nice. It's nice to see kind of a game that isn't following the same fucking. Well, I don't understand how developers don't realize it costs millions to make an MMO, and people want something new. They don't want World of Warcraft over and over again.
I think that's what makes it so scary. Like, okay, they're going to try and get funding, so they go up to an investor and say, we're trying to make this new MMO. And then they get scared instantly. They're like, no, you can't make an MMO without making it somewhat similar to World of Warcraft, or we can't be sure we're going to get sales. But now this is EverQuest, and they can do that sort of stuff because they have that legacy.
Yeah, they know that they're going to have people that will play it.
Yeah. There are 100 more features I haven't even talked about yet, like the webcam, where the emotions can be seen through the webcam, so a player's face can be recognised, and that will be emoted onto your player character. But I won't really dabble into that, and I think we should move...
Yeah, that does sounds like that won't work.
So far it's working now in EverQuest 2. They have that in EverQuest 2, and it seems to be working pretty well, apparently, from what I've read.
I don't like that sort of thing.
But it's optional, they say.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's not like
always on
Microsoft.
No. No.
By the way, I whispered that.
I did.
When you're editing, just cut that bit and make it really loud.
I'll slow it down so it's like Microsoft.
I don't know why he named it after his penis. Anyway, so I think we should go on to Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
Most people, if they've actually been listening to this podcast kind of like the whole way through, they know our feelings on this game.
Yeah, so I saw in a few Reddit posts when that leaked footage came out a few months ago now. When we did
that was a good long time ago, yeah.
They were saying like this isn't representative of the MMO. It's somewhat different from this. Well, now a 20-minute, I think it was a 20-minute stream of Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, it's quite long.
Yeah, was released, and no, it seemed completely the same as what we saw.
It's a bit different. They've kind of changed and improved a few things. It looks like combat looks a bit more fluid now, looks a bit better, and movement does as well. But that doesn't kind of stop the fact that it still looks pretty frickin' terrible.
It looks pretty generic and pretty...
When you compare, I mean, I know I said that I don't really like the artwork in EverQuest,
EverQuest, yeah.
I mean, this looks kind of like 5 years older. This looks worse than fucking Skyrim.
Well, that's the thing. I think they had to. I think that what they're going for was like, let's make Skyrim an MMO, and the problem
But
was
that doesn't work because the art style in Skyrim just doesn't work for something like that. Because it never would. Because it's
because it'd be so intensive on the graphics.
It's not just that. It's just the way the graphics come across. Because it's like kind of pseudo realistic, where it's kind of it almost fakes being realistic. So enemies and things blend in with the environment so well and stuff like that, but in an MMO you don't want that. This actually looks to me worse than World of Warcraft.
To me, this looks worse than Morrowind, almost. Like some of the backgrounds, they don't render it too far. They don't render the backgrounds too far, so it gets really blocky really quickly. So so the models look like the player models look good up close, and then it's further back the draw distance goes, the worse it looks until you get to Morrowind standards.
Why can't any MMO find a way to make it so that when you mount, it doesn't just appear? Seriously, why? Surely, I mean, the people that work on these games, to achieve what they do building a game like that, surely they've got the brains to figure out a way so it doesn't just look like your mount's just appearing. Because that just shatters all immersion.
Well, I don't know what they're going to do. I think EverQuest is probably going to fix that. I haven't seen the mounts or anything, but I'm sure what they're doing with EverQuest, the amount of immersion that's going into it so far, I'm sure they're going to fix that.
I can never remember the name of it. It was like WildStar or something in an MMO that's coming out quite soon that looks really similar to World of Warcraft. In a good way, though. It actually looks like a really, really good game. But they're mounting... I think it's that game. You can, like, tame dragons and things. But they actually follow you round as a pet.
Yeah.
I think it's that game. I'll have to look it up.
I don't know why...
They follow you around as a pet, and then when you mount on them, you literally just climb on them.
I don't know...
So...
Yeah.
That fixes that.
I was wondering why like with a horse, why don't the player character just whistle and then you just see it running in the distance? That would be, and with birds and stuff, you just see it. You just call it like what Gandalf does with his with his horse. He just whistles and you see it coming from a distance and flying down.
It's difficult though. I that probably would be the best solution, like to stop kind of immersion being completely shattered, but. Again, I'm going to use World of Warcraft as an example. In World of Warcraft, when I first started, mounts took, I think, 3 seconds for you to get through because it was like a channeled thing.
Yeah.
And I think it took 3 seconds, and they halved it to 1.5 seconds. And 3 seconds was really just way too long. Because, again, people don't have... Like, when you're playing a game like that, when you're rushing to do quests, when you're leveling, because unfortunately, every MMO will be like kind of grindy in its own way. Yeah. Because there's no other way for it not to be when you're leveling and things. I mean, any game that incorporates levels in the way that an MMO does is going to be grindy. But, so you're trying to rush a lot of the time when you're doing quests, the kind of more boring quests, because no MMO, no game can make every single quest or mission really, really fun and interactive. Yeah. So, the aspect of time when it comes to kind of mounting up or doing something like that plays a big part. But surely there's another solution. Surely. There has to be.
I think the way that it's only truly going to be fixed when atmosphere is properly done in an MMO, where everything seems truly atmospheric, so everything just seems slower down, and that you can actually put up with that time in space because the game's so immersive that your brain kind of thinks, yeah, this is fine because it's all part of the world. And if that's smashed like what they're doing in Elder Scrolls, where the horse just appears and disappears, and I think that breaks the immersion. That gives you like that rush sense, like, oh, I have the liberty now to actually rush this because it's easy to do. And if the whole game was built around this taking it slow, like grinding, well, like we're grinding, it doesn't matter if you do it fast or slow, it still feels the same.
Yeah.
So the atmosphere is built around it. So
Yeah. It's an incredibly difficult thing to do, though, isn't it? Make grinding less grindy.
yeah,
Because unfortunately, at some point in any game, there's going to be a point where you're just clicking buttons for a while
yeah,
during the leveling process, especially if you then decide to go and level like a different class or something. If you want to re-roll and play something else for a bit, the second time or the third time, it gets worse and worse every time. So it's really difficult to kind of even conceive how they'll do things like this. Because every time kind of like a new MMO comes out, even kind of crap ones like, well, Rift wasn't crap, Rift was okay, they still bring out things that are kind of like, wow, I couldn't have thought of that in a million years. And well, I guess it's because they have such large teams, so they have so many ideas floating around. But
yeah. Well, I think all these problems get solved whilst doing the development. I think these questions still linger on in their heads, and whilst they're developing the game, they're trying to find problems and doing and solve and trying to. They have so many solutions that in the end it's like a mishmash of 2 or 3, where the true solution comes out.
Well, I guess I mean the most I've ever probably thought about anything like that's probably for like half an hour, and they're thinking about it for like years in reality.
Yeah, when people don't understand, when you're developing games, it's not like we have the solution on our heads, because we may think we have the solutions, and then when you actually come down to program it, you find that the solution is much more complicated than you thought.
Oh God, yeah.
It's like people in like I hate.
I'm sorry, this game just looks so fucking shit.
I'm actually watching it now.
I'm not even joking. I'm watching a fight between this weird like kind of dog crocodile thing. I don't even know what it's meant to be, but it's got a red outline on it. They put a red outline on stuff you're attacking, on stuff you're targeting, so they don't have to have like target boxes and things. But what's going to shatter immersion more? Having a little box in the corner that tells you you're targeting something, that makes it kind of less dynamic and things, or having a big red glow?
Well, the thing is that they have a first-person mode. Why do they need that whole red thing in the first place?
That is a good point. Because you would just kind of assume it's like either the last enemy that you attacked or the closest to your reticle, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So
I don't see why that needs to be done anyway. Why do you need to know what you're targeting? That was one of the things with Guild Wars that they did quite well. The combat felt like it didn't feel like it was forced and scripted. It actually felt like you were choosing to attack this enemy and then this enemy and then this enemy in kind of a chain of different attacks. But when you have things where you're actually targeting something, it's kind of like, that's your target until it's dead or until you move on to another target. That is just not how it works. That's not how fighting works, is it?
Yeah.
You kind of go for the highest threat. Or you would do in reality.
This game just seems like they tried to find a good solution between third person and first person. So what they should have done is just stick with a camera view and just center around making the immersion so really well done in that camera view.
And the third person is like, it's kind of off to the side, isn't it?
It looks like what Skyrim's third person is, which is terrible. And all the Elder Scrolls games third person. No one plays that game in third person that I know of.
Yeah, it is. It's off to your character kind of, your reticle stays in the middle of the screen and your character's on the left-hand side of it.
Yeah.
Which is it's an okay way to do it, but this just looks really bad.
I think
it's a shame because it's got so much potential considering the vastness of the Elder Scrolls universe.
Yeah, and its lore and what they can do with it. I just hope that one day they'll just. Well, I think from the beginning they should have stuck with first person and said, okay, let's make a first person MMO. That hasn't really been done to my knowledge. I can't really think of an MMO that's done this. First person.
A lot of MMOs you can go first person,
but it isn't
not
really
in the way where you can see your weapons and things.
Yeah, it's not really built around it. It's all more.
In World of Warcraft, you can go first person.
But I don't think first person was in their heads when they were building the game.
It's just so you can zoom in. It's not like proper first person. You don't see your weapons or anything. It literally just zooms you in, so your camera, it kind of like places the camera in front of your character.
Oh.
But it's still probably better than this.
I just hope they would have stuck with first person and built the game around it, making it really atmospheric. Something that EverQuest can't really do because they're third person. Like, it's the only way this game could possibly compete with games coming out like EverQuest Next, is where it's first person, what EverQuest can't do to my knowledge, and make the atmosphere built around this first person experience. Because I find first person games much more immersive than third person games.
You mentioned competing with something like EverQuest. Honestly, I don't think Elder Scrolls Online is going to have any trouble making its revenue and things.
I know, but just in the long term, though.
Well, their fan base spreads wider than just kind of people like gamers, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Their fan base spreads so far, and a lot of people out of kind of the gaming communities might have never heard of EverQuest.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't really... I've known its existence, but I've never really thought, that seems like a good game to play.
I've looked at it before, and I believe I played one of them a bit, because I was, like, out of World of Warcraft for a bit, because I couldn't afford it. And, I mean, it's kind of a game that you just kind of look on from behind. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's Wild Star.
It is Wild Star, yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that, because the way that the combat works, it's not like really immersive combat and things, but they're using telegraphs and things, so it's really hard to explain. I mean, if you want to know, go watch like people's videos, go watch like Total Biscuits videos about it and things.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't be bothered to explain. We're meant to be talking about Elder Scrolls anyway.
Yeah, I would just like to say that this game, it's bound to be a success. Actually, no, I don't know, because Star Wars wasn't a success, so I'm not sure if it will be a success or not.
Star Wars was a success for like the first few months, wasn't it?
I think
for the first month or so.
Yeah, I think this will probably be successful for the first month and then just die on its feet.
But then Star Wars cost so much, like, just to buy the box, and then you had to pay a subscription on top of it.
But the thing is, it's Star Wars. There are millions of Star Wars fans in the world.
Yeah, but a lot of people still can't afford to pay like 50 quid and then pay 10 quid a month on top of that.
Well, I think Star Wars, most of these now fans are children, and I think that parents would have just bought them for Christmas.
Yeah,
probably.
But I mean, most parents still wouldn't be willing to pay £10 a month for their kid to play a game, would they?
No. Well,
Liam, you're forgetting it's illegal for anyone under the age of 13 in the UK to play an MMO.
That law is like kind of nobody really listens to it anymore.
It's illegal for people under the age of 13 to use Facebook, Liam.
You still see it happen.
Well, of course you do.
Yeah. Anyway,
I mean, you get like 9-year-olds playing Call of Duty nowadays.
When
I was young, it was only 10-year-olds.
It's more like the 18-year-olds going, back in my day, we didn't have you little rascals running around. Back when I was 17.
But yeah, this is... Why? Why are they even bothering? I mean, the one thing that they've spoken about that's interesting, and they've gone on about it like it's the best thing in the world, is the way that the combat system works, where, like, enemies will... If they kind of change their behavior based on your surroundings and what class you are and things like that. So if you're ranged, they will deliberately get close to you and stuff like that. And if you're in an area where... This is one example that this woman kept using. If, like, say there's oil on the floor,
yeah,
like a kind of sorcerer or a wizard or something will deliberately set that oil on fire so that you're trapped in it.
Yeah.
And things like that. So that's the only interesting kind of mechanic, and probably the only unique mechanic
really
in that game.
I've been watching gameplay whilst we've been talking, and the combat just looks bland.
Yeah, the combat doesn't really look like they've described it, does it?
No, it looks like a really awful version of Skyrim. And Skyrim's combat is bad.
It's just click, 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 isn't it?
Yeah. I think we should move on to Blizzard, please.
Okay, so I haven't read much of this, but I'll just read the the headline, and then you can carry on if you want.
Okay.
This is quite exciting. Blizzard's new vision for Titan. Unlikely a subscription-based MMO. That just makes me so amazingly happy.
I would have... I could have worked that out pretty easily, though. I think it's pretty obvious now.
Yeah, but Blizzard.
True.
They do things that, like... I mean, I don't know, I can't... They took 12 years to develop fucking Diablo 3. But they're not like particularly down to earth, are they?
No, they've kind of got so much money now that it doesn't really care about how long it takes for a game to be made, and that really can hurt a game taking long to develop because the gaming world changes at such a pace. Like playing a first-person shooter from 5 years ago, or even like compare a game like Half-Life 2 to the latest COD. The combat, the game. Gameplay-wise, from the shooter standpoint, is bad. Actually, it's pretty awful. The only reason it is still my favourite game ever made is from the memories and the story of that game.
Yeah.
But
that's essentially the reason why they said that because remember a month ago or 2 months ago, whenever it was, they said that they had essentially scrapped Titan and restarted.
Yeah, they've got. I've got a quote here, in fact, from the article.
Yeah, well, me and you essentially came to the conclusion that it was probably likely down to the fact that they were using outdated
technology. Yes.
Which is kind of what they said. They kind of hinted at it, didn't they?
Well, the quote here is: "We're in the process of selecting a new direction for the project and envisioning what we want the game to be. While we can't talk about details yet, it's unlikely to be a subscription-based MMORPG. I will also want to reiterate that there has not been an official announcement or projected release date. So basically saying don't expect it at BlizzCon this year. Or any news about it from BlizzCon this year.
Well, I mean, I wasn't expecting it.
No.
I'm not expecting it until... we probably won't hear much until, like, next year or the year after.
Probably. Or it being Blizzard maybe in the next 5 years.
Hey, think about Half-Life.
Yeah, well, Half-Life has been a bunch of rumblings from code snippets. Being the source engine, so... Actually, I won't go into it. But anyway...
Yeah, but, like, still know fuck all about it.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, so this... They seem to be in exactly the same place they were with Titan a few months ago.
We talked about this on Saturday when we actually spent some time in the real life together, Garber.
We did.
We start talking about these companies are so big now that they can risk spending 10 years on projects. Games people like Valve and Blizzard, because they make so much money a day. Blizzard from World of Warcraft and Valve from Steam and probably TF2 now and Dota 2 now, that they can risk taking so long on projects.
But I mean, Blizzard isn't in a position as much so as Valve where they can do that, because Blizzard are owned by other people.
Well, they're now publicly owned. They were owned by Vivendi, and then Vivendi sold them.
But they're owned by stockholders now, aren't they?
They bought their own stocks.
Oh, did they? So they actually own themselves now?
I think, yeah. From what
really?
I heard, from what I heard, yes.
So is it Activision is it just Activision then?
It's still Activision Blizzard, but I don't know how much is Blizzard now.
I
didn't really...
Oh god, a shareholder sued Blizzard apparently.
I don't really look into
I'm going to have to read
shareholding.
about this.
I haven't read too much about it, but I know that they bought their own stocks, so they're now publicly owned.
2.34 billion.
Yeah, exactly. An MMO costs something like 200 million. That's pocket change to Blizzard.
Well, yeah, Blizzard are worth, just their property and things alone, just, their assets. Not digital assets as well. It's, billions. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're still worth more than Valve. I can't remember.
I think they probably were, but not anymore.
It looks... Oh, no. It's still a subsidiary of Activision Blizzard.
Yeah. And probably will be.
Unfortunately.
Probably will be till the end of time now.
But yeah, it's not owned anymore by... Activision Blizzard isn't...
Owned by Vivendi.
Oh, that actually makes me feel so relieved.
Well,
in 2012, their revenue, Blizzard's revenue, was pushing $5 billion
yeah.
US dollars. That is scary amounts.
That they must be so in the from a development standpoint, they must be so in the clouds and so far away from reality and like deadlines and so on. Like they're like, oh, we should have done this last week, but we got the money to spend.
I think it depends on the team. Because, I mean, with games like World of Warcraft, they have always managed to get stuff out when they're saying they're going to do it. Which is difficult with an MMO, because there are a lot more challenges than with, like, a single player or even just a normal multiplayer game. But it's the teams like the Diablo team that kind of... Because it's down to the individuals, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think...
Because, I mean, well, a lot of the World of Warcraft team are just grunts, aren't they? Just working at a computer.
I think it's more... I think it's now down to shareholders, because I think the shareholders was like, make more World of Warcraft content, and quickly now! And not about the other projects. Like, a company like... A publicly owned company like... No, a privately owned company like Valve, like we saw it with CSGO, they didn't really care by the end of it. They were outsourcing everything by the end of the development, like the assets and everything, because and we have Valve time, because they're privately owned. I mean, everything is so closed down. Like they don't care. They don't have any shareholders to impress.
They don't have to please anyone. No.
No.
They don't have to meet any quotas, do they?
No.
All they've got to do is keep their business afloat, and they don't have to release a game ever to do that.
Yeah,
They'll just carry on making money.
It's both a good thing for being privately owned and a terrible thing being privately owned, because there's no boot that's constantly kicking you.
Yeah, they don't have to be pushed ever.
No. So.
But then, I mean, it's nice to see a company that is essentially owned by one guy.
Yeah.
That's so successful.
And make quality content, even though CSGO's probably the worst game quality-wise, it's still a very enjoyable game and a very good game by all means.
It's enjoyable. I find that it's enjoyable mainly because you're playing with other people, and when I play, I'm playing with my friends, and that's really about it.
I think they satisfy the market they were going for, which is the CSGO fan.
Yeah.
And actually the complete CS fans from
1.6. They know that, like, proper, like, Counter-Strike fans didn't want a new game.
No, I
mean, people like that will just want beefed up graphics and things.
Well, the Counter-Strike fans hated Source because it was so different. Counter-Strike Go is basically 1.62.
Yeah.
So it's what they wanted, but just by knowing what went into developing it, and by the end of that development, it's their worst game from that standpoint. But yeah, I think we've kind of dribbled
I think we should move on to Microsoft.
Okay, I'm not gonna talk. I'm gonna not really talk too much about it. But
okay, well, correct me if I'm wrong then, because I did not have time to read this whole thing. So what Microsoft are doing with Xbox, I'm not sure, is it with all games, or is it simply something that is based around the Xbox community, this reputation system?
It's with the community, but it's going to affect all games. And
okay.
All games that developers want to, I would say.
Okay. So basically what they're going to be doing, they're going to be giving... Once you get an Xbox, you'll be given a score that is, it says in the range of 75, which according to them is a good player. So your reputation will be 75. And I'm not sure, what can actually affect that? Is it like when people report you and things?
Do you know about the star system in what Xbox has now?
No.
Okay, well, the Xbox Live now, every account has a star rating. Every player has a star rating. So,
Oh, okay, yeah.
like, I've never seen a star rating less than 4.5, basically. But what this does is that rating actually changes. Will actually put you in a group of people. Segregate you into a group.
But what affects this score? What changes your reputation score?
Probably other players.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, here we go.
Yeah.
But by calculating your XP and the reward loot to your game tag as well as you. Oh, what? Okay, so it's XP from games, the award of loot, and no, you will be awarded with loot every XP through your gamer tag, and it will also be affected through other players.
So players can actually... This is really fucking stupid. This is going to be an automated system, essentially.
Yeah.
So what they're going to be doing is you're going to have a reputation score, and due to certain things, as it gets lower, that means you're a worse player. So either you're just kind of not very fun to play with, you're rude to people, you grieve people and things like that. And once this gets to a certain point, you will be put into a different group of people where... you will no longer be able to... You'll kind of be stuck in that group of people.
Well, you'll be stuck, and you will no longer have the availability to certain options like voice chat.
That is ridiculous.
I don't know if this counts for friends, though. So, I don't know if, with your friends, you still have mics, but I don't know.
This is so stupid. You're paying... The people that are buying the Xbox are paying for, like, a $500 console that comes with a microphone by default that... I mean, this will be in their terms and conditions things, whatever. They are paying serious amounts of money for this. Whatever. I don't care if it makes other people's days worse. They shouldn't. This shouldn't be the approach that Microsoft is taking. They shouldn't be just saying, yeah, we're going to push everyone who's bad to the side and let good players play. Instead of doing that, they should work on it and help make the community stronger. Because these people, you're paying a serious amount of money for a console, and, I mean, if you get pissed off at games and stuff, I mean, yeah, hold your temper, but, I mean, this can be affected by people reporting you and things. I'm pretty sure people would report someone like me for having, like, an avatar that's do of My Little Pony just because they don't like it.
It's no longer My Little Pony excuse. It's Brian.
No, but on, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's...
This can also affect, like, I know, like, systems like this will be exploited by, like, school bullies and stuff, like, people are like, oh, we hate Steve. Everybody, like, they go into their friend and go, let's downvote Steve, till he gets no voice chat or whatever.
The people that, the ones who this is kind of being aimed at, are going to often be the people that are more creative in finding ways to get around systems like this and get other people punished by systems like this when they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, oh my god, you were camping while we were playing COD, I'm going to report you on this system.
Yeah. I remember Xbox being a bit of a cesspool. Xbox Live being a bit of a cesspool. I think they're in the right direction if you weren't paying for the service. It just because...
And if it wasn't fully automated.
Yeah.
You're paying for like £500 for a console. The least they could do is invest the money and time into making a system that will work. This won't work.
Well, like, think of a game like Left 4 Dead on insane difficulty. That game you need voice chat, or even Dota. Like, you need communication between your teammates in a game like Dota or TF2.
Well, a lot of people consider it an important part of the game in something like Call of Duty to have voice chat, don't they?
Yeah.
A lot of people play the games because they enjoy talking to people. It's a social aspect.
And you're removing that social voice from people, probably the wrong people, in fact, because this will be exploited against the wrong people, most likely.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, because it's an automated system.
Yeah.
What they need to... I mean, it's serious. That's a serious thing to do, to block people from certain features on something they've paid for when it is a completely automated system. What are Microsoft doing?
they were actually getting better at this at one point, like actual marketing their Xbox One, and then they went back downhill.
Yeah, well, with all the development stuff, with it like each unit being a development unit, that's amazing. That's really cool.
I think that's all. I also found a flaw about that. If every console's development unit, what's stopping people from finding ways to pirate games using something?
It's a debugging unit. But
yeah.
that doesn't mean you can access, like, it means you can test a game on it. That doesn't mean you can, like, access live with a game that you've created.
Oh, I thought it came with certain tools in the box. Okay.
Well, who the hell is going to pay for the publishing? To publish, like, a hack thing onto the... Because there's still you can self-publish, but there's still a cost, isn't there? And they probably still do look over what you're trying to publish.
Yeah, well, I think so, with it being a hard drive, I'm sure someone will find a way to connect it to a PC and rip those files.
Yeah, but people would have been able to do that regardless of whether it was a debug system.
Yeah, I think probably people have found a way to do it. It's just because I know Luke pirated his Xbox games.
Yeah, well, there were like easy cracks online and stuff that you just put onto a disc and then put it in the console.
And people always bought.
They've probably found ways more around it now, but...
Especially, Xbox Live you can't do it because they'll turn off your online features.
Pirates are always one step ahead, though, aren't they?
Yeah, you can't... Well, two things. You can't really keep bad players from playing games and still being a nuisance. And two, you can't stop pirates.
No. It's just... This is going to be such an unfair system.
Yeah.
And it's going to be horrible because, I mean... If there's a game, for instance, where in a lot of games when someone hosts the game themselves, not like running a dedicated server, but kind of starts the lobby, they have the power to kick people and things. And this will become a thing where people will say, oh yeah, you need like a reputation score of this or higher, otherwise you're not allowed in. Which, again, could be caused... You could have a low reputation score because of people that have been, like, trolling you.
Yeah, I think this would be good if it was regulated through games. Like, okay, we don't care about reputation. Like, if Dota 2 was ported... Let's say Dota 2 was ported to the Xbox. Okay, we don't want this voice chatting or reputation system in our game because that is not... This will stop certain features of Dota being used and certain tactics in Dota being used. So it's a communication feature in Dota, which is very important, especially if you're a huge fan of Dota, where everything is meticulous and you cannot change any strategies or else you will fail.
Well, it's any game that's heavily team-based, isn't it, where teamwork is required.
Yeah.
Unless you can type really fast, you need... I love the way you're playing Dark Souls now.
I know, I'm sorry, it opened somehow.
You clicked on it, didn't you, Liam?
Yeah.
By accident. It didn't open somehow. Because games don't just open somehow.
Mine do. It has a mind of its own.
Conveniently when I hear a click. But yeah, I mean, this is a stupid idea. It won't work, and it's just gonna... If they keep this system, it's just gonna make a lot of people very unhappy. That's all I've got to really say, because it is getting on this podcast now.
How long we... Oh, God.
That's 54 minutes.
Yeah. And I got uploaded to YouTube on Tuesday.
Hey-oh. And edit it, bitch.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's all we have. We had the trifecta of MMOs.
Yeah, so today was kind of like an MMO podcast.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
It was. It's nice talking about MMOs because it's something we can both talk about you from your experience and me just from a design point.
From like 5 years of experience.
Yeah.
Over a quarter of my life spent in a video game. And I don't regret 1 minute of it. Apart from farming. I spent several hours flying around in circles.
Well...
I really hope, like, newer MMOs like EverQuest fix that. So, to earn money, if you're not raiding and doing things like that, you don't have to fly around one zone picking up, like, fucking ore and things.
Well, you won't because it's all dynamic.
Oh, God. I hope they find a good way to make money that doesn't involve either, like, playing the auction house and things like that.
Well, EverQuest never had an auction house.
Yeah, I guess actually.
Anyway,
Ah.
we will see you next week.
Yeah. Bye everyone.
Oh,
If you wanna.
I also like to mention about the YouTube channel, what we're doing with it.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing that. I wasn't sure if you wanted to though. So basically, everything is changing.
We're restructuring the whole way we're going to do content. We're no longer going to do gameplay to a point.
We will be doing some gameplay. I mean, if either of us or both of us get into any sort of alphas or betas, if it's something that we enjoy, we'll show that off.
Yeah.
We're gonna probably, I'm not sure yet, Borderlands might just be gone now, because in reality I've uploaded 2 episodes. So it's not something that I highly doubt, like, everyone's dying to see more episodes of that. But it's a game that I'd like to continue playing with you.
Yeah, but we may not. We just won't record it, probably.
Yeah. But yeah, we need to actually have a proper conversation about that at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm gonna be doing, shall I tell them what I'm doing first, or do you want to?
You can go.
Okay, well, I'm gonna be doing, hopefully on Monday or Tuesday, which this podcast will be up by then anyway, I will have uploaded a Premiere Pro tutorial, which I won't say what it's about yet. I'm also going to be doing After Effects tutorials and Fireworks tutorials, all Adobe, and I might get into some World of Warcraft stuff with tutorials to do with, like, class builds and stuff for Blood Death Knights, because that's something that kind of... Blood is quite easy to understand, but a lot of people still fuck it up. And yeah, I eventually, probably not until kind of after the new year, I will be doing some stuff with UDK probably, which is Unreal Development Kit. And that's about it. I might be doing some other stuff to do with programming, but yeah, so tutorials and stuff mainly for... Oh, and I'm continuing doing my news videos.
Yeah. I'm going to be doing, what hopefully we'll be doing you'll be seeing in the next month, hopefully, is I'm going to be writing a few editorial pieces, video-wise, basically talking about something that could be news-related, or anything really that I just think that should be talked about. I also will as well be doing reviews, not for Premiere Pro or anything, because I'm not really averse to that, but maybe Unity or anything programming-wise. I also want to talk about design methodologies that I picked up throughout the years, working in Source Engine through level design, and programming-wise, maybe. You'll definitely see more programming stuff through the new year and onwards. Probably both of us. Yeah.
Well, which language are you going to be mainly learning at university?
Well, I'm going to be learning all of them. Basically, all the basic C language, Java, all other languages. So
you're going to be learning all of the languages.
All of the languages.
That's going to take more than 4 years, Liam.
It's all the basic, like learning the basic. So from low level coding upwards.
Yeah, and I'm just going to be doing C++ because it's the only one that's relevant to game design. So, fuck you.
If you want a database, come to me, but I'm not going to make it because they're fucking boring.
Oh, databases, why? Anyway, so yeah, there will be mainly tutorials, there'll be gaming news, and I'm considering if I manage to get time to do technology news as well. Maybe kind of in the same video, because I would like to move kind of away from just games.
So, yeah, I want to move away from just games, programming-wise as well. Just like basic understanding of programming languages, teaching people. Like I still have not seen a Unity, any sort of Unity tutorial or any other sort of tutorial where return statements are used, which is
that's
really
a good point. Yeah,
which are really annoying because that's a really important part of programming. A lot
of those tutorials though are aimed at kind of imbeciles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we should stop there. So I probably will be releasing a video about this at some point after the podcast has gone out, because I love releasing videos about pointless crap.
Yeah, well, you'll see the reason we're doing this is because we are literally uploading gameplay where there's hundreds and hundreds of hours every day of the same gameplay. So we're trying to change this and go more into a new market and releasing more higher quality non-content. Basically.
Wow. But yeah, so as far as tutorials are concerned, I will probably aim to do one a week, as long as I can. It's something that's going to have to be tested and things. But I mean, because, and I also do news videos and stuff like that, so it's hard to find the most streamlined method to do things like this, but it'll work out. It's going to take us a few months to kind of get sorted out properly, but hopefully the videos will get better and better and better.
Yeah. I don't know how often I'll be doing my editorial pieces. It just determines on what's in the news and what's happening in life and stuff.
Yeah.
So, it could be one a week, it could be one a month. So, you just don't know. But yeah, we will see you next week on another episode of the Great is it Great Garberson or the Great Garber Podcast?
Great Garberson.
Great Garberson. Sorry, I just had a total brain dead moment.
Your one-stop shop for gaming news and reviews.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.